We're back with a brand new video. This time we're back with yet another Spongebob Squarepants conspiracy theory. I've done 2 of these already, made by the man Alex Bale. If you haven't seen those videos, make sure you guys go and check those ones out. And you guys went absolute sicko mode on those videos. You guys left so many likes, comments, and you guys showed so much love on those SpongeBob conspiracy videos. And a lot of you were asking me to react to this SpongeBob Squarepants skin theory. It's over an hour long. It's an hour and 11 minutes. We got entire major motion picture here. We got the Lord of the Rings of YouTube videos here. This is created by my guy Doug Woolever. Shout out Doug. Shout out Doug Woolever. He spent a long time making a 1-hour SpongeBob conspiracy theory, and I'm sure we are going to be in for an absolute roller coaster. So I hope every single one of y'all are buckled up, fasten your seatbelt, keep all hands and legs inside the vehicle, and I hope you have your various snacks and refreshments because we are going to be in for a marathon. If you guys like this video, make sure you spank the like and subscribe button and ring the bell so you guys get notified whenever I upload. And if you guys have any suggestions of videos you would like to see me do, make sure you leave those down in the comments below because I'm open to anything. But without further ado, a SpongeBob Squarepants skin theory. Let's see what we got. Oh my gosh.
All right, let's do this. You are about to see 3 short clips from the popular cartoon SpongeBob Squarepants.
Okay.
As you watch, try to find the one theme that they all have in common.
All right.
Ready?
I'm ready. I was born ready.
These patties sure are delicious. I wonder what's in that secret formula.
Code 12! Code 12! Your disguises can't fool me this time!
Everyone at the Head Enhancement Clinic said nobody would notice.
The Head Enhancement Clinic.
Some people are even late on Sunday. Hi, Malefish!
Oh, I think I can already see like the...
Alright, SpongeBob, you win. Stay inside forever. Yours is truly the Iron Will. Now, Cat! A gorilla! Save me, SpongeBob!
Okay, and then he like unzips.
Okay, guys, really, this is your saddest attempt yet. Even Chip knows.
So I think I can see what the commonality between the 3 is, you know what I'm saying? You've got people underneath another person, you know what I'm saying? Like in the first clip, he ripped the dude's heads off. It wasn't his real head. There was a smaller head underneath, you know what I'm saying? We had the bad breath, and he made the dude's skin snap, crackle, and pop, you know what I'm saying? There was like 2 other people inside of that, you know what I'm saying? Now we got Patrick inside of the gorilla suit. So I'm assuming it's like, you know, one person being inside of like another person or something like that.
Same costume you wore for Halloween last year.
No, really! You gotta come save me!
Hey, Sandy, who's your friend?
But you're supposed to be in the gorilla suit.
I am in the gorilla suit. I thought I was doing a pretty good job.
If you're Patrick, then who's that?
The gorilla inside the Patrick suit.
So,
Iconic.
Stand out. Let's take a closer look.
I thought I was doing a pretty good job.
If you're Patrick, then who's that?
Gorilla Man. That's the humans.
A real
That's the humans.
It might strike you as a
It's the
little weird that
surveillance.
not 1 and not 2, but all 3 of these clips have specific references to fish who are wearing costumes or some kind of skin. But this must be a coincidence, right?
Right?
Wrong.
And these aren't even a fraction of the clips that you are about to see. Welcome to Skin Theory.
Oh gosh. I'm ready for this. This is the greatest blockbuster hit since in Avengers.
Before we get rolling, a quick overview. First, we'll explain the basics of skin theory and
Okay.
define it. Next, an in-depth analysis of one very important moment from the show. After that, you'll see every single example of skin theory currently known to exist.
Okay.
Then, the various interpretations of skin theory will be discussed, and we'll try to answer some of the biggest questions concerning what it all means.
Bro, this is like...
Finally, we'll look at the creative minds behind...
Bro, this is like so complex and intricate, bro. Like, you got the basics of the theory, you've got the prime example, you've got all the examples, you got the sub-theories, you got the math, you got Lee's literally doing everything and everything about this theory, bro. This is
SpongeBob,
wild,
who could have
okay?
had a hand in creating skin theory, as well as one man in particular who might be responsible for it all, followed by some closing thoughts. Now, let's begin.
All right, let's get it, baby. The basics.
Skin theory can be summarized with one basic definition and 4 supporting principles. The basic definition is all of this. You can read the official definition.
The metatextual analysis of Spongebob Squarepants, which recognizes and explores the significance of glaring thematic references to sea creatures who knowingly wear, remove, and exchange various forms of costumes, disguises, and skins in Bikini Bottom, and that is coming directly from Webster himself, okay?
Here, but basically what this is all getting at is just one simple idea. And the idea is this. Within the show SpongeBob SquarePants, there are a shockingly high amount of these bizarre moments where some character will take off their skin or put on someone else's skin or use fake body parts or dress up like different types of fish or reveal human features underneath their fishy exterior. In simplest terms, that is skin theory.
Okay.
But the key here is that these moments are incredibly common. Way more common, in fact, than any other children's cartoon show. And that brings us to the first principle. Skin theory is based on the analogical nature of human society compared to what can be observed in Bikini Bottom. Or in other words, the inconsistency of basic societal norms in Bikini Bottom are deeply disturbing. As for the second, skin theory is not hidden from the characters in SpongeBob, it is hidden from the viewers. So essentially, all the sea creatures in Bikini Bottom are aware of this skin wearing, and they recognize it as normal, acceptable behavior. On to the next principle. Skin theory is propagated by extra-textual forces, meaning skin theory isn't just a weird quirk that formed naturally or accidentally, but rather it was intentionally injected into the show by the writers, producers, and showrunners who worked on it.
Okay.
Also, notice that the references
Okay, so basically it's saying skin theory, right? Skin theory, this is like a norm in Bikini Bottom. This is normal, average, everyday life. Nobody thinks this is weird. This is what goes on in the daily do's of Bikini Bottom, right? And then the second principle is saying that this is not something that's being hidden from the people of Bikini Bottom. Everybody in Bikini Bottom knows that this whole skin theory thing is a real thing in their world, but it's being hidden from the viewers. And the third principle is saying that this isn't something that was just accidental or just naturally happened as they were creating the show, but this was something that was intentionally put into the show for a specific purpose.
Theory are densely concentrated within seasons 1 through 4, but they rarely appear in seasons after that. And there is an explanation for why, which we'll get to later. Anyway, the fourth principle. Skin theory is a multifaceted work in progress. So there isn't just one official interpretation, but rather there are multiple sub-theories out there. This includes the ritual aspect, the mass psychosis element, and the costumed human hypothesis. And yes, those do sound completely insane.
What?
But later on in the video, we're going to go into detail regarding all...
The mass psychosis element. Bro, what Oxford classroom did you pull that out of?
What's next? So at this point in the video, you might be thinking, this idea is ridiculous. It's insane. I would need to see many, many solid examples before I even think about believing it. And that's good. Skepticism is good. But you're about to see those examples. After all, the 3 clips you saw at the beginning are only the tip of the iceberg.
Oh.
A couple of Class A suckaroonies.
Yeah. Oh my.
Arms like these.
All right. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. Before we can truly appreciate...
Bro, my mind is already like, we 6 minutes into the video, bro. The whole video's an hour, bro. And my mind is already like blown, dude. This is crazy. This is fucking wild, bro, because, like, I remember watching all of this stuff as a kid, bro. I remember watching all of the people, like, taking off skins and stuff like that, but I never thought anything of it, you know what I'm saying? So when he says, hey, this was an idea hidden from the viewers, I fully believe it because I didn't even really put two and two together until I'm watching this. Like, it's just crazy.
We need to firmly grasp the first principle. Here it is again. Now, this analogy isn't really something we think about when we watch the show, but it's always there, and it's very important. There are a whole bunch of examples that can illustrate this point, but one in particular stands out as especially striking, specific, and deeply disturbing.
The salmon suit. Okay.
Everybody remembers Dying for Pi. It's an all-time classic episode from season 2. Personally, I think this is one of the best.
Yeah, that's the one. That's the one where they're bombs, right? It's like a bomb, and he like fucking drops a nuke on Bikini Bottom because he trips.
Ever written, right up there next to Band Geeks and Chocolate with Nuts. It's got tons of witty dialogue and iconic moments, but you might not even realize that it also has one of the most disturbing moments in cartoon history.
Boom.
But anyway, the scene we're talking about occurs while Squidward is attempting to help SpongeBob complete a list of fun bonding activities.
Well, the first thing I want to do is show my best friend Squidward to everybody in town. Hi there, this is my best friend Squidward. Hey kids, check it out. This is my best friend Squidward. Hi, I want to show you my best friend Squidward.
Hey, Frank.
Hey, Frank.
Good, because we're on to our next activity.
Shout out Frank, man.
Which is?
I'm going to show my best friend Squidward to everyone in town wearing a salmon suit.
You're gonna be wearing a salmon suit?
Ah!
Oh.
Good one, Squidward. Next.
So this scene might have struck you as a little strange when you first watched it, but in reality, it should strike you as downright horrifying. And here's why. SpongeBob Squarepants is a show about fish and undersea creatures.
Right.
No surprise there. But these aren't real fish. They're interpretations of fish. And in these particular interpretations, they're meant to serve as parallels to human beings. After all, if it was accurate to how sea creatures actually looked and behaved, the show would look something like this.
Exactly. Exactly. It's a cartoon, you know? They gotta exaggerate things, personify them. I'm saying personification. Write that down.
Riveting. So anyway, in order for the show to work, Bikini Bottom needs to be a nearly perfect parallel of human society. For instance, we see things like boatmobiles, shell phones, and Krabby Patties, and our mind immediately jumps to the real-world parallel that these objects are clearly referring to. In this case, it's a car, a cell phone, and a hamburger. But the same premise applies to broader concepts about society as well. For instance, just like how our society...
Oh, I know where he's going with this. Oh, I know where he's going with this. Okay, I think I know where he's saying, right? Bikini Bottom is supposed to be personification of normal, average, everyday human life. And if Squidward's walking around in a salmon suit, that would indicate that humans would be walking around in human suits. Bro, this is, oh my gosh, okay.
Where people exchange cash and work jobs to earn money, the same is true in Bikini Bottom. And just like how our society employs a criminal justice system, the same is true in Bikini Bottom. And lastly, our society uses relatable humor as a form of leisure, and so does Bikini Bottom. For example, if someone does something funny in Bikini Bottom, that same action should be equally funny if it were to occur in human society. And from this, it also follows that unacceptable behavior in Bikini Bottom would be considered unacceptable behavior in human society. So far, this should all just be common sense.
Yeah, that
And
makes...
This is where things get disturbing. Salmon is a type of fish.
Yeah. Oh
Now,
my
to us,
gosh.
fish are just fish. You know, simple animals who are caught and eaten every day. No big deal. But to the citizens of Bikini Bottom, fish are people. Fish are their friends, their neighbors, their family. Fish are literally everywhere they look. So when Squidward puts on this horrifying suit of a salmon, the kids aren't just seeing a funny pink costume.
Oh, that's...
They're
okay.
seeing a complete stranger walk up to them wearing the naked skin of someone they probably know.
That's psychotic.
It looks like a salmon. What if he is a salmon? What if his whole
Oh
family
my
is a bunch of salmon?
gosh.
Think about how disturbing that would be for
Oh
him.
my
This
gosh.
costume is not okay. It's beyond messed up. To
Bro,
think-
imagine. Imagine you just at a park and you chilling and some random dude comes up to you and say, hey, this is my best friend Steve, and Steve is wearing a full human body skin suit like he's Leatherface or something, bro. Oh, that would be terrifying. Oh my gosh.
that Squidward would actually do this. Let me put this another way. What would you do if you and your friends were walking in a park?
Look at, I just said
minding your own
that.
business, and suddenly a stranger comes up out of nowhere, and oh, what do you know? He's literally wearing the loose, severed skin of a naked human
That'd
being.
be fucking
Are you
terrifying.
kidding me? And what if he tried to talk to you? I mean, that's probably why they're
Oh
throwing
my
rocks.
God.
Squidward looks like he just murdered somebody. Seriously, this is like Silence of the Lambs, but worse. This is supposed to be a kid's show. Oh, but wait, that's not even as bad as it gets. Because this isn't actually what a salmon looks like. And I'm not talking about the animation style. I'm talking about the color. Now, I know most of you have probably eaten salmon before, and yes, it's always been this kind of off pink color, but really think about that for a second. That's how it looks on your plate after it's been cleaned, filleted, and cooked. So on the inside, yes, salmon meat is pink.
Oh
But
my.
what about the outside? What do real salmon look
Are you saying that Squidward is a homicidal maniac and skinned a salmon and put it on like a costume? Is that what you're telling me, Doug? Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, this is absolutely
Salmon who are
psychotic.
actually alive. Gray. They look gray.
Yeah.
In reality, you need to cut the skin off before any pink parts even begin to show.
Oh my
which
gosh.
means Squidward's salmon suit isn't only the naked, hideously deformed representation of a
Oh
sentient member
my
of the bikini-bottom
fucking
society.
gosh.
It's also supposed to be a salmon that has had all of its outer skin sliced off. Holy sh!
Oh my god, bro.
Hopefully now you're beginning to see how some of the most harmless
Bro,
moments.
the crazy part about this is like everything he's saying makes so much sense, dude. Like when you sit here and you watch the show, you just think, oh, he's just wearing a salmon costume. It's just a costume. But then when he sits here and breaks it down and he's talking about, oh, this is supposed to represent, average day-to-day human life. This is supposed to be the personification of fish, right? And so Squidward walking around in a salmon suit, skinned like a psychotic maniac, makes so much damn sense, but it seems so innocent when you just watching it. But then you break it down and you realize that this dude Squidward needs to be in a straitjacket.
From Spongebob
Jesus.
Squarepants can completely collapse in the blink of an eye.
The instances.
So the salmon suit is a great moment to analyze, but it's only one instance, and one instance isn't enough to support an entire theory. That's why I've compiled dozens of unique moments, all pulled from a variety of episodes, which you are about to see. But before that, just keep a few things in mind.
Okay.
First, all the clips you're about to see have been taken from seasons 1, 2, 3, and 4.
The
And
golden
as you might know,
years.
SpongeBob SquarePants is currently on
Right?
its 12th
The prime,
season. This
the
will be
prime
explored later.
SpongeBob.
Secondly, you're about to see a ton of clips, but it's very possible that even more exist out there which have yet to be discovered.
Okay.
Third, the criteria for what makes something an instance of skin theory is intentionally open-ended. Each one is going to be different from the last. And lastly, as you watch, try not to think of these as individual moments that exist on their own, but rather as connected pieces that all appear in the context of one another,
Okay.
becoming more significant when considered.
I got that. You
as a
guys, you
whole.
got that? You got that? You people watching, you got that? You following these rules? Okay, if you need to take a second, write it down. You know what I'm saying? Go ahead. Let's do this. All right.
Okay, here we go.
I can't go anywhere ever again. Stupid,
Wow, it sure is dark in here.
Okay. Yep. And then he goes to that convention,
You!
right? The sailors convention.
You're a genius.
Well, I'm glad you got my point.
So right off the bat, we got SpongeBob climbing into Mr. Krabs' body. And this scene might be humorous when viewed on
Which
its
is kind of
own,
creepy.
but when you watch the episode again with skin theory in mind, it kind of changes.
Yeah, it's kind of
This reference
creepy.
is about as cut and dry as it gets. I mean, he literally wears Mr. Krabs. But believe it or not, this isn't the only time that Mr. Krabs and SpongeBob have switched bodies.
Mr. Krabs, some guy in a suit wants to come in before we open.
What? Guy in a suit? No! It's a tax collector! Hide us, SpongeBob! Now we'll walk nonchalantly to the rear exit.
Oh my gosh!
Bard, R.A. Penny Pincher Vending Supplies.
What? My machine has arrived? Oh, let him in, let him in, let him in!
They also do it in the episode Skill Crane, although this time the roles are reversed. Next, we have a moment that comes from one of SpongeBob's all-time classics, No Weenies Allowed.
Classic.
Bowl of nails for breakfast this morning.
Without any milk.
Without any milk.
Classic.
Right this way. Sorry to keep you waiting. Welcome to the Salty Spittoon. How tough are you?
How tough am I?
Oh,
Wow.
Got any more tattoos?
The deeper we go here, the more examples you're going to see where one character has parts of their skin ripped off and then reapplied as if nothing happened.
oh
Granted,
my.
if there were only a handful of these weird moments throughout the show, they probably wouldn't be worth mentioning. But as you'll see, there
Bro!
are just way too
Bro,
many. of them.
yeah, bro, this is like mind blowing. Like this happens every single day in the city of Bikini Bottom, bro. Like if I was just strolling down the boulevard, you know what I'm saying, waiting in line for the McDonald's or something, and somebody rips off somebody's tattoo, flips upside down, puts it back on like nothing happened, I would probably run away in panic. Maybe even pee on myself a little bit, you know what I'm saying? Because that's absolutely psychotic. But this, it's just nonchalant. Oh, wow. By the way, you ripped your tattoo off and there's nothing you can do about it. Dude, this is crazy. This is so crazy.
Oh, Squidward, could you hold me? I think I'm gonna be sick.
SpongeBob! Newsflash, SpongeBob. I got fired too. This is exactly why we need to go on strike. He can't treat us like this anymore.
And another one.
Feeling better?
No.
How about now?
Nope.
How about now?
And another one.
Hi. I'm very ugly, but you should enjoy the movie anyway.
So how much of that woman's face do you actually think was real?
Exactly,
None of
bro.
it, because if it was real, then apparently we just saw SpongeBob give a complete stranger third-degree burns. Now that's brutal.
Oh my gosh. Bro, I bet we've all met somebody like that, bro. They breath stank so much, it just melts your face, bro. We've been there.
He got away, sir.
No! He's finally stolen me secret recipe!
Perhaps not, Monsieur Krabs, for it's SpongeBob Squarepants!
So SpongeBob rips off all his skin to reveal another identical-looking SpongeBob underneath. So this immediately raises two questions. First, why? And second, how can we know that this second version of SpongeBob isn't actually just another layer of skin? What if he's wearing 3 of those costumes? What if he's wearing 4? What if every single time we ever see SpongeBob, he's actually just wearing this costume, and in reality, he doesn't even look like this at all? I mean, there could be anything underneath there.
My whole life is a lie. My whole life is a lie. Oh my gosh. First I find out Squilliam Fancy Son is a fraud. Then I find out the entire city of Bikini Bottom is under surveillance by the humans. Now you want to sit here and tell me that SpongeBob isn't even really a sponge with square pants and that he's just wearing a costume this whole time? Oh, I cannot do this. I can't handle this. I am not emotionally stable for this. I am not emotionally stable for this.
What the barnacle is going on?
Get away from me! Get away! What are you talking about, Puff? You can't fool me! You're SpongeBob and that guy who likes the chili.
Continuing with the theme of tearing someone's skin off, this scene is actually pretty shocking. If you're not familiar with the episode, you might be wondering what could have possibly caused the peaceful Mrs. Puff to act in such a violent way. Well, if we just rewind the clip a few seconds, you'll see exactly why.
Oh yeah, SpongeBob and Patrick.
What's all the hubbub, Puff? They're back!
Mrs. Puff, it's us.
Right, that's why. Because SpongeBob and Patrick literally walked right past her moments ago wearing full-body skin costumes of prison guards. Also, how did SpongeBob and Patrick change their voices so well?
What's all the hubbub, Puff?
And he wasn't even
This
square.
next example is one of my favorites.
Oh my
partly
gosh.
because of how much it made me laugh as a kid, and also partly because of how ridiculously absurd it all seems now.
Hey, these patties sure are delicious. I wonder what's in that secret formula.
Code 12, Code 12. Your disguises can't fool me this time. Plankton.
Everyone at the Head Enhancement Clinic said nobody would notice.
When did this show become Scooby-Doo?
This is the end of the mystery. Well, well, if it isn't our old friend Bluestone the Great.
Seriously, this moment is so abrupt and absurd, it leaves me dumbfounded. I mean, I love it, I think it's hilarious, but it leaves me dumbfounded.
Yeah.
Let's consider the language he uses here.
Everyone at the Head Enhancement Clinic said nobody would notice.
The Head Enhancement Clinic.
The head, yeah.
Really? The Head Enhancement Clinic? Wouldn't it have been easier for him to have just said the costume store or the mask shop?
The Head Enhancement Clinic.
For some reason, the writers decided that he would specifically reference something called the Head
So he went and he pulled up on Dr. Miami Under the Sea and got him a little facelift. Okay. Okay.
Which is apparently a real place that exists somewhere in Bikini Bottom. That's insane. So you're telling me that body modification at a surgical level is so common for undersea creatures in Spongebob Squarepants that they actually have a fully dedicated, standalone medical clinic for handling it? Really? But even then, it's not a full body modification clinic. It's specifically a head enhancement clinic. So they only deal with heads? What about all the other body parts? Doesn't this imply that there must be other clinics out there too, which cater to things like hands, feet, torsos, etc.? It does, and there's proof for that too. Just look at this guy again. He has to have visited at least a few of those other clinics.
Exactly.
Too, because the color of his arms is totally different from the color of his actual skin. They aren't even close. So not only is the head fake, but so is his entire body.
Oh my gosh.
And how many clinics do you think Bikini Bottom has?
Well, I like it. Let's do it again.
Okay.
F is for friends who. U is for ukulele.
And it's for nose picking, sharing gum and soul licking here.
Oh my! Oh, I saw that! Oh my gosh! I seen where he's going with this.
Wait, did you catch that?
Oh my gosh! They picking out noses. They're picking out noses like they shopping for engagement rings. Oh my gosh.
Wait, did you catch that? Look at this nose shop. Do they seriously sell severed human noses?
And wasn't there another episode where Patrick literally went out and bought himself a nose because he didn't have one?
These things aren't even fish noses. They clearly belong on a human being. So why does this shop exist? And notice how the show only stays on this image for a fraction of a second. That's incredibly quick. Maybe they're flashing it by you so fast because if they linger on it and the audience really gets to think about what they're seeing,
that's crazy.
People will start asking questions.
Karate choppers.
Daddy, wait! Victory is yours.
I knew you'd come to your senses, SpongeBob.
Speaking of shops that sell body parts,
okay.
SpongeBob was able to find a fake tongue that not only looks and feels real, but is apparently functional enough to allow him to speak perfectly while it's in his mouth. Nice.
What? Squilliam.
Oh, is that so?
Fucking liar.
What you've accomplished since high school, Squiddy.
Don't be intimidated, Squidward. Try to imagine him in his underwear. Oh no, he's hot!
Wait, this is what Squilliam looks like in his underwear? He has a muscled human torso with fingers?
What the fuck?
I was born with glass bones and paper skin.
Chocolate with Nuts, top
Every
5
morning I
all
break my
time.
legs.
Top 5
Every
episode
afternoon I
all
break my
time.
arms.
To cover up his whole body for this bandage disguise, why doesn't he just use actual bandages
Hoodlum.
and just wrap that around his body? That would look way more convincing, and it would probably be a hell of a lot cheaper and easier to find. But no, for some reason, this guy just happens to own a full body suit that includes, among other things, functioning eyeballs.
Oh, you're right.
So there are a lot of absurd
Oh, I didn't even
moments in
realize
SpongeBob
that.
SquarePants where the show seems to really take a serious dive off the deep end. And usually those moments are hilarious. But every fan will agree that one of the most absurd moments of all time has to be the final 2 minutes from I Had an Accident in Season 3. Towards the end of the episode, Sandy and Patrick hatch a ridiculous plan.
Don't you have to be stupid somewhere else?
Not until 4.
To lure SpongeBob out of his house by getting Patrick to pose as a violent gorilla.
Oh, yep. With the gorilla, yep.
But you're supposed to be in a gorilla suit.
Yep. This was on the TV theory.
If you're Patrick, then who's that?
It's a human. He's sent here to spy on you. It's entertainment. He's making it spicier for you.
Man, there are a lot more zipper suits in this show than I remember. Where's everybody buying them? And how did the gorilla get one that looks exactly like Patrick? I mean, I can understand Patrick's gorilla suit because, hey, even people in human society want to dress up like a gorilla sometimes. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
But Patrick? A full body costume of Patrick Star? Why does this suit exist? Is there a store somewhere that sells exact replica skins of every single citizen of Bikini Bottom that anybody can rent out anytime they like?
Oh my gosh! You're right! Where the fuck did that gorilla just happen to get a Patrick suit? Why does a Patrick suit just exist? Oh my gosh! Oh, this is just getting. I knew this was gonna be a roller coaster, bro. But this is something else.
Honestly,
oh
that
my
would
gosh!
Explain a lot. Oh god, and don't even get me started on the real gorilla. I can't even imagine how they came up with this idea in the writers' room. They convinced a real person to put on a full-body gorilla suit and then shoot him in live action with voiceover dub. You have to be insane to even think of this stuff. And the immediate logical question that comes up is actually exactly what SpongeBob says next.
You know what I don't understand, though? What? What's a gorilla doing underwater in the first place?
They were sent by the humans.
George, they're on the way.
They were sent by the humans.
Get out of here.
Side note, the voice for the gorilla in this episode is actually renowned voice actor Frank Welker. If that name doesn't sound familiar, don't worry, you definitely know him.
Who?
In fact, you've already heard his voice in this exact video.
Oh!
Hey, listen to this, gang. Teenage sleuths solve boat hijacking mystery.
That's right, Fred.
Fred!
Well, I'd say check on him if it weren't for the fact that we were warned to stay in our rooms.
Frank Welker has been the voice of Fred Jones in nearly every single animated version
That's
of Scooby-Doo
fire.
since 1969.
The
So
original
guy
was the
who's
best one, by the
constantly
way.
pulling weird
Just want to
masks
say
off
that.
of costumed monsters is actually the voice of the costumed monster. This might be the single greatest stroke of irony that has ever been written.
That's great, bro. That's so fire, bro. That's so fire. This dude was voicing the dude unmasking the villains, and now he was voicing the dude who needed to be unmasked. Oh, bro, it's gone full circle. It's gone full circle. That's great, bro.
Would it be too crazy to think that this might be the writer's way of hinting at skin theory? Perhaps. Anyway, forget the gorilla. What is a horse doing underwater? You know what would be crazy?
And what kind of horse is
What if
that?
the voice actor for George the horse was also somehow related to skin theory? Now that would be cool. But there's no way that the writers would have added two insanely deep ironic references, right?
Wrong.
Oh, I'm not ready for this.
Of course
I'm not ready.
George the horse is voiced by none other than D. Bradley Baker, another renowned voice actor who's known for, among other things, portraying one particular role on American Dad.
Hey, I have an idea. You could put my brain back into a human body, and I could get a job and earn some money for the family.
Klaus, the talking fish.
Oh my gosh.
The talking fish. Are you kidding me?
Oh
First
my
it's Fred, and now it's
gosh.
Klaus in the same scene. How many levels of irony were these writers on when they made this episode? Seriously.
Oh my gosh. So you got, okay. So the voice actor for the dude in the horse costume is the same dude that was the talking fish, and SpongeBob is a show about talking fish. This is crazy. Oh my gosh, bro. This is just okay. It's just one thing after another, bro. You just boom, you punch me in the face, and then boom, you'll come back at me with something else, and then boom, you slap the shit out of me with something else, bro. Oh my gosh.
This is the kind of thing you should point to when people say it's just a kid's show. There are no double meanings or deep messages. These meta references are real, and they were light years ahead of their time. These writers might very well have been clinically insane, but they were geniuses. And what happens when you combine genius writers with metatextual references and pure insanity? Skin theory.
Skin theory.
No need to be alarmed, SpongeBob. Your teachings have transformed me. Besides, I have checks with little poodles on them. I won't be needing this anymore. Farewell, fellow do-gooder.
He doesn't have a head, yeah.
Man Ray takes off his head and walks away. Okay, I guess he could get a pass here because he's supposed to be some kind of mutated supervillain. Fine, whatever, sure. But Patrick isn't.
Not just an idiot, Patrick. You're also my pal.
Oh, yeah.
Patrick. Say something, Patrick.
Hi, SpongeBob.
Patrick, you're back.
In this episode, the entire upper section of his head is removed at least twice.
His whole
and then replaced
brain.
with various non-biological pieces, no problem. Compared to other kids' shows, these kinds of moments are unusually frequent.
What can I get you boys?
What are you looking at?
Oh my.
First of all, that's a fantastic pun. Quality stuff. Second, these moments are strange on their own, but something else to notice is how everyone else in the show is just totally unfazed when they see this stuff happening. Like, the two squids don't even react. They just had the features of their faces sucked cleanly off and then reattached
With that
to
leaf
somebody
blower.
different. Is this just a regular occurrence for them? Is this just something people do to each other down here? I mean, if everyone is wearing skins and everybody knows that everybody else is wearing skins, why not?
Doing time.
Well, it sounds like it's all your fault.
No, you're right. Mrs. Puff's in jail, and it's all because of me. I'm such a barnacle head. Poor Mrs. Puff. I know. I gotta get her out.
He takes off one of his things.
First, we gotta get in jail.
How are we gonna do that?
I can't be the only one who thought those dots were a part of his body. But apparently not. Maybe they have Velcro on the back? And if he can do that to one of his dots, doesn't that mean he can do that to all of them?
You checked out of the hospital this morning.
Here's the bill.
You mean I'm awake?
Mr. Krabs rips his entire head in half, then reforms it multiple times. Just pause for a second and try to imagine this scene occurring in pretty much any other children's cartoon show from the era.
That would be,
Can you imagine how disgusting this would look if Timmy Turner just ripped his face off in the middle of an episode of Fairly
Bro,
Odd
the
Parents?
crazy thing is that because they're fish, bro, they could just get away with it. You know what I mean? Like, I'm sitting here, I'm watching, it's like, yeah, this is psychotic. This is absolutely psychotic. People's heads literally getting ripped off of their bodies so effortlessly would literally freak any child out on any other show. But the fact that it is specifically SpongeBob and it's talking fish, nobody really bats an eye.
That kind of imagery does not fly, but SpongeBob gets away with it.
I can explain.
This one obviously isn't that serious of an example, but it does illustrate something weird. The fish here seem to be constantly wearing full body costumes underneath their regular clothes, even when they're skiing. That's a little weird.
Wait, so are you saying that everybody in Bikini Bottom is wearing a skin suit 24/7 and nobody is actually how they truly look? And everything that we know and love about Bikini Bottom, about the characters and their aesthetics, has all just been a lie this whole time?
Why did you follow me in here? Why?
All right, Mrs. Puff. It looks like this heat's gone to your head. If you're gonna talk to rocks, I guess it's time for you to go on kitchen duty.
Yes! It must be the heat. Yes.
Darn it. Okay, Patrick, let's get out of here. No, wait! There goes our deposit on these costumes.
Oh, so there is a store somewhere in Bikini Bottom that lets people rent out various costumes which are modeled after other citizens.
Okay.
Where else could SpongeBob and Patrick have gotten these rock costumes that perfectly match their individual skin tones? This is probably also where that con man got his bandage costume and where that gorilla got his Patrick costume.
Yeah.
So, you've seen a lot of clips so far.
Uh-huh.
But if you still think that these are just totally normal, everyday coincidences that you'd find in any old TV show, what will it take? What will it take to convince you that maybe something weird is going on here?
Maybe like 50 bucks?
Perhaps these small, isolated examples just aren't enough, and you're looking for something singular and concrete, something solidly connected to the actual plot.
Okay.
That would be nice, but surely there aren't any examples of that.
Wrong.
Right?
Wrong.
Now, this is a
I love that.
top-tier episode of SpongeBob. It's got some of the best one-liners and visual gags in the history of SpongeBob. But it also has complicated and nuanced intellectual humor, like...
All right, Pinhead, your time is up.
Who you calling Pinhead?
As a side note, this isn't the only time Pinhead Patrick makes an appearance. There's also this scene from the Doodlebob episode.
You okay, Patrick?
Oh, Pinhead, yeah,
Okay, I'm about to go on a tangent, so let's bring it back on topic. Survival of the
Yeah,
Idiots.
okay.
There are a couple small instances of skin theory in this episode, such as this.
Screaming will get you no.
And this.
I'm so.
And his lips, yep.
But there are some big ones.
Okay.
Too. The main conflict is pretty simple. SpongeBob and Patrick are trapped inside the tree dome during winter, and they need to find a way to get warm. Now, there are plenty of ways that they could have solved this problem, but what did they end up doing? That's right, they decided to rip all of Sandy's fur off her body and wear it. Skin theory.
Oh!
But wait, there's more. Do you remember how the episode actually ends? I'm talking about the final 10 seconds or so, the very last joke.
And wasn't there, hold on, wasn't there an episode where Sandy, she was like taking a shower and she literally takes off her fur and then Plankton like breaks into her house, hits him a quick little lick, takes her skin and wears it pretending to be Sandy so he can get the formula? Dude, this is psychotic. This is absolutely psychotic.
Episode. True SpongeBob fans will remember this one.
SpongeBob, Patrick.
Don't worry, Sandy. We've got you covered.
More like
And she wears them.
Thanks, Sandy.
spring sure is lovely.
She wears them. She actually wears them. That's wild. Why does this show have so many references to fish that are wearing other fish? Oh, and that wasn't even the final example, by the way. Not even close. There are a bunch more. And lucky for us, I saved some of the best and most bizarre moments for
Oh no, it's time for a bumpy ride.
Sunday. Hi, Nailfish.
I don't think I even need to say anything about this.
Yeah.
I mean, just look at it. The more times you watch it, the less sense it makes. This has absolutely nothing to do with the plot, and even when you consider it on its own, it's not even really that humorous. It's just weird. It's just kind of there. I mean, I guess it's a little funny, mainly because of how random it is, but even then, the show just kind of hits you with it out of nowhere and then quickly moves on to something else. Doesn't get much more bizarre than that. Oh, but it does.
I've noticed that that's like a similar theme in all of these clips, bro. Like anytime you see a clip of somebody wearing somebody else or something like that, wearing like a skin suit, it's only for like a brief second. Like you see it for a second and then they quickly go to something else, change the topic, change the subject, change the plot line. You know what I'm saying? It's never there for like a good period of time.
It always does. This whole episode is just weird all around. I remember seeing it sometimes as a kid, but way more rarely than the other episodes from season 1. I imagine it had something to do with this hideous mess of SpongeBob shaped like a snail.
Oh my god.
Yeah,
I
that
remember
monster is
that.
pretty disturbing, but that's not even close to how disturbing this guy is. I'd be shocked if you even remember him.
The
After
fucking
all, he only
doctor?
appeared for like 30 seconds in the middle of the episode. Supposedly, he's a pet doctor that comes to SpongeBob's house to give Gary an injection of snail plasma. So you might be asking, what's so bad about that? Well, see for yourself.
Oh, no.
His arms are a different color. Yeah, I've seen that on the Squilliam theory, bro. Like this doctor's probably not even real too. He's probably just a paid actor just to do whatever the fuck he's told to do. Because he's been a normal doctor, he's been a pet doctor, he's been in Squilliam's gang, you know what I'm saying? So that I don't even trust that doctor, bro.
What the hell is this? What is wrong with his arms? Is this actually how the animators chose to draw him? I swear, I did not edit this. His face is clearly purple, and for the most part resembles a regular fish, but for some reason his arms
That doctor is shady, bro. I do not trust that doctor.
And he has fingers? Why? Why do they do this? There's just no logical reason that this particular fish should get drawn with fingers. Unless you consider skin theory, of course, in which case it makes perfect sense. Anyway, there's also the question of his arms being a completely different color from his face. I mean, they aren't even close. And I'm no professional animator, but there's just no way that this can be chalked up to a simple coloring mistake. He's either a purple fish who's wearing brown arm covers, or he's a brown fish who's
with a
wearing
head,
a purple face mask.
And he went to the head enhancement emporium.
What if there's a third option? What if, and hear me out, what if he isn't a fish at all?
Do not do this to me, Doug. Do not do this to me, Doug. Do not do this to me, Doug. Oh, I've been watching these SpongeBob conspiracy theories. My entire childhood has been based on nothing but pure lies and deception. And now you want to tell me that he's not even a fish? I can't do this. Oh my, I can't.
We're gonna have to come back to this later. But in the meantime, we've still got one
Later,
more.
that's what you gonna do. You gonna leave me? You gonna leave me here in a cliffhanger? Get back to it later. I can't do that.
So,
I am
at this point,
impatient.
we've seen over 24 clips from different episodes of SpongeBob that span 4 whole seasons of the show. No matter how skeptical you might be, you can't deny that these references are unusually frequent, way above the threshold for any other children's cartoon at the time. There's only one more episode I want to look at before we go into the explanations behind skin theory, and this one is dedicated to the hardest of hardcore skeptics out there. You might be thinking, these examples are weird, but at the end of the day, they're only individual moments, and I still need something bigger to convince me.
You got something bigger.
What would it take? Perhaps a full episode where the entire plot revolves around fish that are wearing skins? Maybe. But then again, there is no episode like that. There's no way that the writers of such a beloved children's cartoon would allow something so devious and
There's no
subversive
way.
to make it on TV, right?
Right. No way.
Right?
Wrong. Wrong, right? Wait.
Wrong.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, yes. Musclebob Buff Pants is another classic from the...
Oh my god, you're right. Oh my god, you're right. He puts on the arms and inflates them. Oh my
early
gosh.
days of season 1. And just by picturing the episode in your head, you probably know what I'm about to say. 2 words. Anchor arms. They're giant, inflatable, skin-like appendages that anyone can wear. Seriously, it doesn't get any more black and white than that. The whole episode literally revolves around SpongeBob wearing skin and pretending to be something that he's not. And the funny part is, his trick actually works. The other fish totally buy it, as if these enormous, laughably discolored arms are somehow realistic. Are they actually that dumb? Perhaps. But what if they're actually aware that SpongeBob is using false arms?
And they're
just not saying anything because it's so normal for people in this society to see other people dressed up in skin. Also, how do anchor arms grow hair? And how do they become veiny? Notice how he never mentions the actual material that these things are made of? So what are they made of? What if these things are made of actual skin? At this point, I wouldn't even be surprised.
That is psychotic.
Wait, let's go back to that television commercial. There's something about it that might actually be more bizarre than anything you've seen thus far. I'll play the whole thing again, so watch carefully and see if you can find what I'm talking about.
How?
Hey! Hey, you! Whippy, whippy, whippy! Oh, I'm a little peanut worm! Are you too much of a whip to work out? Are you a weakling? Built like
Oh, his arms!
Now you too can have muscles! With anchor arms! They slip on like a glove! Just add air! How big do you want 'em? Normal? Veiny? And for the ladies, hairy. I was a whip before anchor arms. Now I'm a church.
Oh my gosh!
I was a whip before anchor arms.
He's like a whole different color!
Now I'm a church and everybody loves me.
Oh my gosh!
Whip.
Wow.
Did you catch it? Right here. Who is this supposed to be exactly?
Yeah!
Are you telling me that this shark used to look like this? How? There's so many things wrong with this transformation, I
Yeah.
can make an itemized list. In fact, I think I will. Number 1, his skin color inexplicably changed from dark green to light gray. How did Anchor Arms do that? Second, his stature and size are completely different. Are you telling me that Anchor Arms straightened out his bad posture and added 50 pounds? Where did those
And his
pecs and those
eyesight.
abs come from?
He's got
Are they fake
glasses.
too? If they are, why aren't they the same fleshy color as the Anchor Arms? Third, his eyes seem to have mysteriously shifted onto either side of his face, and his vision is perfect now. No need for glasses.
Oh.
Fourth, why do his teeth look like they've been filed down?
Yeah,
the points?
and then his...
Fifth, and this one really freaks me out. He has fingers all of a sudden. Where did these hands come from? How much body modification did this guy have?
gosh!
Forget about the head enhancement clinic. He must have visited 100 different clinics to get all this surgery.
Bro, I know this Dr. Miami of the Sea is making stacks on stacks on stacks, bro. Literally everybody and anybody is pulling up to his crib like they the Kylie, like they the Jenners or the Kardashians. They pulling up just to get enhancements to their body. Oh my gosh.
His entire body is some kind of Anchor Arms type suit. Okay, almost done, I promise. There's only one more instance left on the list, and it comes from the same episode, Musclebob Buff Pants. Before the idea of Anchor Arms is even mentioned, we see this.
Howdy, SpongeBob. How's it going?
Not too close, Sandy. I tend to get smelly when I'm pumping iron. Check it out.
Well, you're smelly.
All thanks to my state-of-the-art weight set.
I don't want to disappoint you, SpongeBob, but you won't see any progress with those.
Oh, really?
That is, if you want arms like these.
Huh?
Oh fuck! She's got like real human.
Well,
Bro,
Sandy
look at she got the bicep of the Rock, bro. Look at Bro, what the hell? Dwayne The Rock Johnson doing in a squirrel
Has an
suit.
incredibly muscular human arm. There's no way you can tell me that.
Oh my
No
gosh.
shot. That actually looks like it belongs to a bodybuilder. So how did it get there? Well, when you consider skin theory, the explanation is actually pretty simple. Sandy didn't simply pull up the sleeve of her scuba suit. She actually pulled up the sleeve of her squirrel costume. Sandy the squirrel isn't a squirrel at all.
Wait a minute. 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 Wait a minute, right? I watched that television theory, like I had said, right? It was from a different dude, Alex Bell, right? The television theory basically saying that Bikini Bottom was used as entertainment for the humans, right? And in that theory, it was, you know, supposed that Sandy was a spy. And she was a spy sent by the humans down under the sea to, you know, do what they needed her to do. Now this is telling me that possibly Sandy isn't even a squirrel at all, and that she's been a human this entire time. Oh my gosh, I cannot do this. I cannot do this. I cannot do this. Y'all keep making me watch these videos, and I'm finding out that my entire childhood is nothing but a lie.
After seeing everything you've just seen, you probably have even more questions than when we
Oh
began.
my gosh.
Why are there so many instances of fish wearing the skins of other fish? What are these skin costumes actually made of? Why does everyone in Bikini Bottom seem perfectly okay with these bizarre moments? How many of the fish are involved in this conspiracy? And what do the fish actually look like underneath their hidden layers? Do the fish even exist at all? And what kind of madman would write a children's TV show with so many disturbing undertones? What does it all mean? Well, skin theory is a work in progress, so a lot of these questions are actually still being debated right now.
Okay.
But let's talk about 3 different sub-theories that can each explain skin theory in a different way. You might find that some of these ideas actually answer more questions than you realize.
The ritual aspect.
So why are the fish in Bikini Bottom constantly wearing costumes and pretending to be things that they're not? Maybe we can answer this question by looking inwards and thinking about the various reasons that people wear masks and dress up in human society. Well, the most common reason nowadays is for entertainment purposes, like putting on plays, or for holiday traditions like trick-or-treating on Halloween. But for most of human history, this was not the case. In ancient times, and amongst native tribal communities, masks and costumes have traditionally been worn for religious reasons. Now, the exact reasons behind this are wildly diverse and specific to each culture, but there are some common themes.
Hey, he getting there. Look at him. Ooh, hey, he hit that bitch. Hey, he hitting that bitch.
Down to a physical location.
He really hitting that bitch. Hey, I see you.
Note that these rituals are usually dedicated to specific spirits within a localized pantheon, not just widespread deities like Buddha or Jesus. And again, there is a lot of variation here among many human civilizations. But usually these worship deities are supernatural entities with specific geographic ties to a location, who have specific days in the calendar dedicated to their worship, and who possess significant powers to do either great good
Okay, so we go into the spiritual route. Are you telling me that the people of Bikini Bottom are wearing skin suits to worship the spirit of Davy Jones? Is that what this is?
Depending on what they're supposed to represent.
Worship the spirit of Aquaman or Poseidon?
Attendants to communicate with their loved ones from the afterlife. And one more reason that early human culture used ritual costumes was to teach lessons and record history through.
This might be the absolute most terrifying fucking mask I've ever seen in my entire life. What the absolute fuck am I looking at right now on my screen? You can't tell me that these dudes are not doing a seance. Dude, this what the hell is this?
Human culture used ritual costumes was to teach lessons and record history through choreographed reenactments. There are countless examples of people in ancient Greek or Roman society
Jesus?
who would completely change their appearance for these purposes, sometimes transforming themselves into a different gender.
That's a whole demon. That is a whole demon.
Animal. So is it possible that the denizens of Bikini Bottom are actually engaged in a bunch of complex social rituals? It's certainly possible, But then again, what kind of rituals are they performing? This subtheory suggests not the deceased relative's approach or the teaching through history route, but rather the practice of god worshipping. And you must be thinking, that's insane. There are no gods in Bikini Bottom. There isn't a single mention of religion or spirituality anywhere within the whole show.
Poseidon!
And you'd almost be right. Almost. Enter the Flying Dutchman.
Oh! Oh!
So what is the Flying Dutchman exactly? Let's listen to Mr. Krabs explain him in the Season 1 episode, Scaredy Pants.
Is it a true story?
True as the deep blue.
Okay, maybe just a little.
Have a seat, me boy. Every year on Halloween,
This was
the Flying Dutchman.
This was like the second part to the Halloween episode, right? Where he like becomes a ghost.
This, only bigger.
Excuse me, did his ship look like a Krabby Patty?
I get what you're saying. The Flying Dutchman swoops down and starts stealing people's souls.
Do souls look like pickles?
As a matter of fact, they do. And he puts them where you can never get them. In his soul bag.
For your pickle. Oh, it is the, okay.
Okay, so what I'm gathering here is that the Flying Dutchman is a supernatural entity specifically linked to Bikini Bottom, who descends upon the town on a spiritually significant night and utilizes immense otherworldly power to steal the souls of innocent sea creatures.
Okay.
Very interesting. So just for the sake of argument, let's assume that the Flying Dutchman really is a localized demon spirit. Our next question would be, how have human societies approached this problem in the past? Well, there are definitely a lot of civilizations to draw from, but one example can be found in Japanese culture, where there are special ceremonies that date back centuries called Onai Oshiki, whose purpose is to drive out evil demons. Notice how the performers in this ceremony are wearing complex ritual costumes and masks that are meant to resemble demonic spirits. Rituals like this one were extremely common in many early civilizations throughout prehistory.
Okay.
So why couldn't that be the case in Bikini Bottom?
Okay, so you're comparing it, right? There's that Japanese ritual, right, where they try to ward off evil demons and spirits, and you're basically saying that they're doing the same sort of practice down in Bikini Bottom to ward off the evil spirit of the Flying Dutchman.
Multiple characters, including SpongeBob and Squidward, specifically choose to model their costumes after the Flying Dutchman himself. The real Dutchman even says at one point that the reason he showed up that night was because SpongeBob's Dutchman costume was so terrible, he felt offended.
But that's not the reason I'm taking your souls. No, this is the straw that broke the camel's back. Out of all the Dutchman costumes I've seen, yours is the most insulting.
It makes perfect sense that a supreme spiritual figure like him would be upset by his followers' poor worship services. In Greek mythology, as well as many other cultures, people would work tirelessly to worship their gods in the correct way, fearing terrible retribution if their worship was deemed inadequate. The Dutchman's anger could be a perfect example of that. So how believable is the ritual aspect overall? Well, it certainly adds an interesting new dimension to the mix, and its anthropological comparisons are fascinating. But considered in the context of all those other examples, it only seems to account for certain instances, in very isolated moments. So as a whole, this just isn't my favorite subtheory. But it's also not the last.
Mass psychosis. Okay, so everybody's just a psychopath.
Mass psychogenic illness is defined as the rapid spread of illness signs and symptoms affecting members of a cohesive group originating from a nervous system disturbance whereby physical complaints that are exhibited unconsciously have no corresponding organic etiology. In simpler terms, this just means that a large group of people goes completely insane at the same time, in the same way, and with no real physical explanation.
Okay.
At face value, this idea is pretty appealing because it recognizes the fact that the instances of skin theory are wildly diverse, and instead of trying to find a single common thread that logically connects them together and explains why the fish are wearing each other's skins, it provides the simple answer that they're just completely insane.
That they're just all psychos.
Real-world examples of mass psychosis are pretty rare throughout history, but there have been a few documented cases. Like one instance in 15th century France where a convent full of nuns reportedly began to meow like cats and would not speak any actual words for several days. There was also the Tanganyika laughing epidemic of 1969 where upwards of 1,000 school children began laughing uncontrollably, which lasted for months. In
What
both
the
instances,
fuck?
no physical cause or logical
That's kinda
reason ever
scary.
really presented itself. So mass
That's
psychosis
kind of
was used-
scary, bro. Like, could you imagine just being a teacher and you standing up teaching, and then all of a sudden the whole class just looks you in the eye and just starts busting out laughing, bro? Oh my God, I would retire immediately, bro. I'm not about to sit there and just get cooked by the whole classroom.
to explain the behavior. Is it possible that SpongeBob and his undersea friends have fallen victim to this strange and dangerous phenomenon? Well, inexplicable bouts of total insanity have been a recurring theme throughout the show's history.
Yeah.
If the fish are this prone to complete psychotic breaks with reality, why couldn't they have one that prompts them to wear costumes of each other? But for the disease to spread to every other resident of Bikini Bottom, there would probably need to have been a seriously traumatic event that acted as a catalyst. So what could have possibly happened that would cause this? Maybe there was some kind of mutation that spread throughout the population. A neurological disease which affects the mind could have come from any number of things. Perhaps an unknown parasite, or an experiment gone horribly wrong. Then again, they might also have been affected by severe pollution. Think about how destructive an industrial oil spill or radioactive waste can be to local sea life.
These are some ugly-looking fish.
Maybe we need one of those toxic waste dumps.
I think I'm gonna be sick.
Okay, so that one was basically saying that skin theory is a thing and this is just perfectly normal to wear each other's skins just based on mass psychosis and everybody under the sea for whatever reason all at the same time just randomly became psychotic and it just became a normal acceptable thing. The costumed human.
Finally, there's one more sub-theory that
Oh
needs
my
to be
gosh,
discussed,
bro.
and it's probably the boldest of them all.
Bro, just the name of this, I can already probably tell where this is going, and I'm not prepared for
Also
this.
the most comprehensive account for skin theory, meaning that it can be used to explain almost every single instance of skin theory we've discussed so far. And on top of that, it can even be used to make sense of other background inconsistencies that have nothing to do with skin theory, but have nonetheless plagued this show since episode 1. This is the costumed human hypothesis.
Oh my
What if the
gosh.
sea creatures of Bikini Bottom aren't actually sea creatures at all? What if they're just human beings in fish costumes? I know.
Stop this! Stop this immediately! Stop this immediately! At first, okay, Squilliam is fake. That's cool. The doctor is not a real doctor. That's cool. Sandy was a spy sent by the humans and possibly is human for herself. Okay. Now you want to tell me that every single person of Bikini Bottom is a human being in a costume. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. I don't know if I could do this. I don't know if my body is emotionally prepared for something like this.
I know that sounds crazy, but don't worry, because it gets even crazier. You might be wondering, if all the characters are actually human beings in costumes, how can they breathe underwater? Well, here it comes. The final piece of the puzzle. They aren't underwater. Everything you see is a lie.
What? This just keeps getting worse and worse and worse, bro. I can't do this.
Now, if this is true, it would completely revolutionize the way we look at Spongebob Squarepants forever. So let's review some evidence. These are the specific moments which most strongly indicate that some kind of human being exists in Bikini Bottom. But all the other clips we saw before are also compatible, especially considering that we've already observed fish who are wearing multiple layers at the same time. It's absolutely possible that any one of them could be doing this. So let's break it down. The costumed human
Rock
hypothesis
bottom.
proposes that
That's like
every
East Side
character in
Atlanta, right?
SpongeBob SquarePants, big and small, are actually just human beings in costumes, who refer to each other by made-up names and who act out rehearsed situations for the viewer to observe. So they aren't actually encountering real problems, they're just acting out situations, identical to how human actors on a stage aren't actually dealing with the problems in the script, it's their characters
My fucking God, this is absolutely insane. This plays in so so strongly with the television theory, right? The basic explanation of the television theory is that Bikini Bottom is just being used as one big form of entertainment for the humans above the surface. And the humans are going down and they're sort of influencing certain things to make it funnier, goofier, and more entertaining for the audience. And it's all just a show put on by the humans. And this would indicate that instead of the humans going down to, monitor the fish, film the fish, doing things for the entertainment for their TV show, this would indicate that they're actually the ones putting on the show themselves for the entertainment of the masses. Dude, this is crazy. This is so mind-blowing, it's not even funny, bro. And the fact that it just so happens to coincidentally go in line with another theory that I've already done, bro, this is crazy. Oh my god, I cannot believe this, bro.
That's why there are so many references to skin-wearing and costumed fish. But what about the claim that they aren't actually underwater? It probably seems ridiculous at first to imagine all this action occurring on dry land. But when you think about it closely, that actually answers a ton of questions that have been plaguing viewers for years. For instance, how can there be fire underwater? This is a fun joke that the show likes to make, and sometimes they're pretty self-aware, usually turning it into a fourth wall break for comedic effect.
But at least it's warm around the fire.
Hey, if we're underwater, how can there be a... I'm scared, SpongeBob.
And now that's definitely funny.
That's the one I was thinking of too.
Just
when he's talking about fire
exists because they're on dry land. And here's a good one. If Bikini Bottom is actually underwater, why is everyone stuck to the ground? Have you ever noticed how nobody ever swims upward? The ocean is a three-dimensional space.
Oh my god. I've never noticed that. I've never noticed that everybody's on the sea floor and not floating through the... Oh my god.
And in the real world, life exists on all levels.
Oh my god.
This is actually a seriously troubling question to consider. Like, why do SpongeBob characters act like gravity is even a factor at all? The characters should just be able to swim up and down whenever they want to. So why is everyone inexplicably confined to the ground? Again, this is easily resolved if we consider that they're just people in costumes walking around on dry land.
Oh!
Let's keep going. And we've probably all wondered about this one.
I can't.
How can there be a beach?
Yeah, Goo Lagoon.
This one completely defies logic. And although there are some semi-official explanations floating around out there, these answers are problematic at best. The most common explanation is that the water in Goo Lagoon is a different density than the water in Bikini Bottom, so they separate. Well, first of all, this does absolutely nothing to address the hundreds of other instances in SpongeBob where liquid can be seen in glasses, coming out of hoses, and even in pools. And even if Goo Lagoon is a different density, the two bodies of water are far too separate and clear-cut to be existing in contact with one another. There's just no good reason that explains why this beach or any other liquids in Bikini Bottom can feasibly exist. And look at this. Where did this river come from? And wait, what is that guy doing? What is he fishing for? He is a fish. How do you make sense of this? Well, consider this. What if Goo Lagoon and all the other water you see in the show is made of real, actual water, and everything else is just air? Yet again, this makes perfect sense.
I hate this. I hate this. I hate this video. I hate this video. I hate this video. You've literally just sat here and debunked my entire childhood in a matter of 56 minutes and 36 seconds. Oh my Jesus.
One more to consider. Okay, so the show is based around the idea of sentient sea creatures that understand language, wear clothes, and have created a functional society. Obviously, none of this exists in real life, so the viewers are asked to suspend our disbelief for a bit, and essentially just roll with it every time we watch.
Okay.
And that's fine and all. There's nothing wrong with rolling with an unusual premise if it means you'll enjoy the show more. But if we apply the costumed human hypothesis, this suspension of disbelief is no longer even necessary. There's no need to roll with it. because the show isn't scientifically inaccurate anymore. The fish have human characteristics because they are human beings, and it's that simple. Their underwater environment doesn't obey the natural laws of the ocean because they aren't underwater. Honestly, we could go on for hours about all the little inconsistencies that appear in this show. Everybody's noticed them. Just know that almost every logical problem you can find in SpongeBob SquarePants can be solved by applying some facet of skin theory.
Wow, dude.
Anyway, the show is entirely comprised of human beings dressed up like fish. They sure do a good job of hiding it, right? Other than those few instances we discussed earlier, you never actually see human beings, or anything else that positively indicates human beings exist in this world. Right?
Wrong!
There are actually two characters who have been sitting right under your nose.
Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy. Yep, he's right.
The whole time.
He's
and
right.
The fact that they even exist
and they use the Wumbo belt, shrank themselves down. Right? Mermaid Man uses the starfish to breathe. Barnacle Boy, he's got barnacles in his lungs. Dude, this is crazy. This is fucking insane.
Huge argument to support the costumed human hypothesis. You have to know who I'm talking about. Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy. How could we ever forget about these
two? My
they
gosh.
Are literally human beings dressed up in costumes. Doesn't it strike you as a little coincidental that the only actual people we ever see in this show just happen to be wearing costumes? I mean, forget about all the subtle implications and the deep metatextual hints. The show is practically shoving the answer right in your face and daring you to connect the dots. Just think about it. None of the other sea creatures ever question what two elderly human beings are doing way down here in Bikini Bottom. They just roll with it. Also consider this. You never see them without their costumes on. Just like how you never see any of the other characters without their fish costumes on, Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy are constantly playing their roles. They're acting like something else. They're pretending to be something else. They are doing exactly what everyone else is doing. And that's why nobody in Bikini Bottom treats them any differently.
Oh my god!
Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy might as well be the poster boys for skin theory. You couldn't find better evidence if you tried.
Oh my
gosh!
Conclusion,
Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy aren't actually superheroes. They're just regular people in
Bro, the thing that makes this so much more believable is that it just so happens to coincide with the other conspiracies that I'd already reacted to. Like if you watched me do the Squilliam one and the TV one, you would see the connections that I'm talking about. And the fact that it just so coincidentally all connects to each other just blows my damn mind.
Costumes, pretending to be superheroes. SpongeBob, Patrick, Squidward, and literally everyone else in Bikini Bottom aren't actually fish. They're just regular people in costumes pretending to be fish. And finally, the entire undersea setting of SpongeBob SquarePants is an elaborate illusion, and everything you see is actually occurring on dry land. Everything you know is a lie. So those are the current competing sub-theories.
Doug, why did you have to do this to me?
Utilizing a mix of all three, so it's not necessary for you to pick a favorite. But after seeing this, you're probably left with a very bizarre sense of confusion and a deep yearning for the answer to one simple question. Why? Why does this exist? If skin theory is true, why would the writers of a children's cartoon willingly choose to do this to their own show? Well, I didn't create SpongeBob, so I can't personally answer that.
Yeah.
We can only interpret what we observe. But we can always speculate, and there's plenty to speculate about. So let's take a step back from the show itself and talk about the real-world environment where it was born.
The mastermind.
If you watched the show growing up, you'd probably agree that the original 4 seasons of SpongeBob were its best.
Yeah.
It would take a very long time and probably a whole new video to explain why those.
Bro, I'm
first
looking
few
at these
seasons were so
episodes,
good.
bro. I'm looking at these episodes and I'm just getting nostalgia, bro. Bubble Buddy, No Free Rides, Graveyard Shift, Van Geeks, bro. This is great. I love these.
Most
Survival of
people
the
agree that
Idiots.
humor and the
I remember
dialogue
watching
undergoes
all
a
of these.
significant tonal
Dying for
shift
Pie.
sometime around season 4.
Nasty
Some would argue that
Patty,
the changes
yep.
had already begun by the time season 4 came out, but for the most part,
What did you say? I wasn't paying attention. I was reminiscing.
show growing up, you'd probably agree that the original 4 seasons of SpongeBob were its best. It would take a very long time and probably a whole new video to explain why those first few seasons were so good, but most people agree that the humor and the dialogue undergoes a significant tonal shift sometime around season 4. Some would argue that the changes had already begun by the time season 4 came out, but for the most part, these episodes are still pretty solid. Maybe not up to the incredible standards of the first 3 seasons, but still not bad. So, what's so special about the first 4 seasons of SpongeBob? And why do almost all the instances of skin theory just happen to be found during the same 4 seasons when the show was at its critical peak? To answer this, we can only turn to one man. Him. No, not the pirate. I'm talking about him. This mouth. And the man who this mouth belongs to.
Wait.
Steven Hillenburg. Steven Hillenburg was the man who created Spongebob Squarepants.
Uh-huh.
He was a longtime animator and cartoonist, and before creating SpongeBob sometime around 1997, he previously worked with Nickelodeon as a creative director for Rocko's Modern Life from 1993 to
Banger, by the way.
1996, another show known for its absurd and edgy humor.
Yeah, and let's keep it that way. Oh, oh dear. You all right? Yeah, I'm I mean, my neck, my leg, my leg, my leg.
But in addition to being a celebrated cartoonist, Hillenburg was also a teacher and a marine biologist who genuinely loved the ocean. So after coming up with the idea for SpongeBob and pitching it to Nickelodeon, he acted as head writer and executive producer on all 60 episodes from seasons 1, 2, and 3. He also worked on the SpongeBob movie, but then chose to depart from the show shortly afterwards in 2002. Following this departure, Hillenburg remained somewhat distant from the show, letting it change and grow in different ways under the creative control of his friend Paul Tibbett. But then in 2014, it was reported that Hillenburg would be returning to SpongeBob SquarePants in a creative role, nearly a decade after leaving. This actually ended up coming true, and he directly worked on the production of SpongeBob's second feature-length movie, Sponge Out of Water. The movie was received very
Not as
well
good as
by
the first,
critics
but
and
still pretty
ultimately
good.
made many
You know what I'm
fans
saying?
hopeful for what SpongeBob's future might hold. Meanwhile, if we look at the timelines, Hillenburg's tenure in charge of SpongeBob lines up perfectly with the show's golden age of seasons 1 through 3. And it follows that his unique creative input might have been the secret ingredient for making SpongeBob so good during those first few seasons.
So this is basically saying that the reason why the first 4 seasons were the best ones, and the reason why skin theory was such a prominent theme in the first 4 seasons is because the creator of the show, Steve Hillenburg, he was like the creative director, the head writer, producer for the show, and so this was his evil genius. But then as soon as he leaves, that's when we sort of notice the drop off with sort of the quality of the show. Okay, I believe that.
Coincidentally, his departure from the show also marked a sharp decline in the kind of bizarre instances we've been discussing, which all but stopped showing up after season 4. There may be occasional references to costumes and skins found throughout seasons 5 through 12, but these are usually far less complex and harder to find. So, was Steven Hillenburg really responsible for the creation of skin theory in SpongeBob? Before we can answer that, we have to know, was he even capable of devising such an elaborate and bizarre message? Absolutely. Just look at some of the traits that define SpongeBob's unique style of humor during those first few seasons. The show obviously used a lot of very simple visual gags, but there's also a lot of nuanced humor.
Louder!
I'm ugly and I'm proud.
Louder!
I'm ugly and I'm proud. I am ugly and I'm proud. I'm ugly and I'm proud.
Is that what he calls it?
And genuinely well-written dialogue.
Those homemade pies sure look good.
Oh, these aren't homemade. They were made in a factory. A bomb factory.
They're bombs.
Another trait that defined the show during those first few seasons was radical absurdity. Sometimes the humor would be pretty nonsensical, but then other times the show would veer wildly off course into these unbelievable, Kafka-esque tangents of experimental filmmaking.
I may finally have found a place
Dude, bro, this episode where it's like alone, dude, this freaked me the fuck out. This freaked me out, bro. That's terrifying.
I gotta get out of here.
And lastly, we all know about the hidden adult themes in SpongeBob. Examples of this can be seen through some pretty simple double meanings and also seen through highly complex, extended metaphors, which can transform the entire plot of an episode. One of the best examples of this can be seen in the Season 1 episode Karate Choppers, which on the surface appears to be a pretty innocent story of two friends who enjoy practicing martial arts. But when you look at this episode a little closer, it actually transforms into a highly provocative and explicit parable of lust and abstinence. All this by simply substituting out a few words and recognizing that every reference to karate is actually a clear reference to sex.
In fact,
What?
for a second that sounded like
Karate?
right now. I mean, no. What is this karate?
Oh my God. That's so fucking fire, bro. That is so great, bro. He said right now? Oh, that's great, dude. That's great. Yeah, I can see where he's going with that.
For a second that sounded like
Karate?
right now. I mean, no. What is this karate?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, bro. This is just, it's layer on top of layer on top of layer on top of layer, bro. Like, I knew this was gonna be a roller coaster, bro, but there's so many dips, turns, flips, and corkscrews. This is crazy. Oh my gosh, bro. It's just one thing after another after another.
All this, at the end of the day, SpongeBob SquarePants was a kid's show. But the difference was, Hillenburg didn't treat his audience like they were children. He gave them complex jokes. He gave them surreal, truly absurd humor, and he constantly pushed the envelope. This man was never afraid to go out on a limb, and if his jokes went right over the audience's head, so what? That makes it even funnier.
Nosferatu!
So could it be possible that Hillenburg and his team of writers intentionally created the complex hidden messages and references behind skin theory? I can think of no better candidate in the world. But unfortunately, there will never be any hard answers to these questions.
Bro, this dude, he literally, like, this was a conspiracy theory, right? But he was literally able to take a real life situation, right? Real life, Steve Hillenburg, he made the show. He left the show. When he left, it was bad. It got worse. Skin Theory was in the first 4 seasons when he was the head honcho. He literally took a real life example that really happened in reality, and he made it somehow explain the concept in this TV. This is crazy. This is just, my mind is just blown, bro. This is my gosh.
In 2017, Steven Hillenburg was diagnosed with ALS, a neurological disease that affects motor function and muscular control. The news came as a shock, and he passed away shortly thereafter in November of 2018.
Rest in peace. Rest in peace, Steve Hillenburg.
Was felt by millions of people across the world.
Rest in peace, bro.
Up with his work.
This dude, listen, bro, on a serious note, bro, this dude literally created one of the greatest TV shows in the history of television, right? If you disagree, then you're wrong and dumb. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like everybody under the age of like 30 grew up watching SpongeBob. You know what I mean? Like, everybody and anybody loved SpongeBob. Everybody was watching SpongeBob, and it was all because of this dude, bro. Like, this dude just deserves got so much respect for me, bro, just because he basically pioneered my entire childhood.
For many, this show played
Rest
a
in
greater
peace,
role
Steve,
than
man.
anything else towards developing their sense of humor into what it is today. It gave us hilarious stories, heartfelt moments, and genuine happiness, far more than the simple cable entertainment we could have ever expected. Steven Hillenburg was the man to thank for all of this. And immediately, the outpouring of support and praises for this wonderful man's life showed just how far-reaching and positive of an impact he truly had.
Rest in peace, bro. Facts, the greatest show of all time.
No matter how you judge a show, SpongeBob SquarePants will always be remembered as one of the greatest television experiences that has ever been aired.
Like I just said.
Hilarious, it's quotable, it's relatable, it's emotional, it's deep. No cartoon has ever been able to bridge the gap between youth and adulthood quite like SpongeBob has, and no show probably ever will again. It's one of the only shows out there that's just as funny, if not even funnier, when you go back and rewatch it with age.
No, Patrick, mayonnaise is not an instrument.
Even on the 10th, the 20th, and the 100th viewing of these episodes, it's still just as good as it was when we tuned in and saw it on Saturday morning.
Facts.
But now, the jokes that we never understood because we were too young suddenly become some of the greatest moments of all time. The little details that we never even noticed before can change our perception of an entire episode. And certain characters who we looked down on or laughed at as children suddenly become relatable and endearing.
Bro, that's facts, bro. I see all the time, bro. People talk about how when they was a kid, they refused to grow up like Squidward, but then as soon as they became adults, Squidward became the most understandable character in the entire fucking show.
Bottom, somewhere below the waves off the Pacific coast, the care and attention that went into this show runs incredibly deep. A truly great show should never be pinned down by one official interpretation. It should always be challenged, reimagined, and redefined. Skin theory is only one of the fantastic ways that we can look at SpongeBob. So if you think that this whole theory is ridiculous, or maybe if you find it just a bit too disturbing,
That is really disturbing.
that's okay. You're allowed to see the show however you want, as long as this video starts a conversation, or maybe even inspires some older fans to sit down and rewatch their favorite episodes, then I consider that to be a huge success. So what do you think? Could it really be possible? And if Pandora's box has
My mind
finally
is
been
blown.
opened on critical
My
SpongeBob
mind is
analysis,
absolutely blown.
What unbelievable theory could come next? But no matter what new evidence is discovered, SpongeBob SquarePants will always be the greatest television show.
This video was absolutely insane. First of all, shout out to Doug, bro. I can tell that he put an absolute disgustingly stupid amount of time, effort, and energy into this video, and it definitely shows through, bro. The video itself, it was so high quality, a lot of dope clips, visual aids, concepts, research, everything. There was a lot that went into this, and I think that this was super well made. So first of all, shout out to Doug for even making this absolute masterpiece of a major motion picture. But in terms of the theory, this is mind-blowing. This is mind-blowing. I had no idea where it was going at the start, and then he kept talking, and it just kept going, and there was one thing after another. First, it started off that, like, only a couple characters were wearing costumes. Then it went into, like, psychotic people skinning fish alive and wearing them as, like, meat suits. Then everybody in Bikini Bottom is wearing a costume all the time, maybe by psychosis. And then we ended up on, no, everybody in Bikini Bottom is a human. It doesn't even happen under the sea. It's all fake, and it's a show for the entertainment of the masses. Dude, this is crazy. This theory is so wild, bro. I can't even wrap my head, bro. There was so much just being thrown at me at one time throughout this video, bro. I don't even know how to feel. I don't even know how to feel, bro. I refuse to believe that everybody in Bikini Bottom is a human in fish suits putting on a theatrical performance. But the way that he sat here and explained it, it somehow makes so much sense, and I absolutely hate it with a burning passion. Okay, I keep watching these SpongeBob SquarePants conspiracy theories. Every single one of them makes perfectly logical sense, and I hate the fact that they do, because it's literally deceiving me. My entire childhood is a lie. Everything I knew and loved about our favorite undersea sponge is all just deception, and I've been conned this whole time, bro. This is crazy. This was absolute madness, bro. But bro, I don't even have words. Don't even have words, bro. But just a very well made, well constructed video. Shout out to Doug again, because this was so fire. Such a super dope video. My mind, I can't even talk. I can't even tell you what my mind is like right now, bro, because this is just so many things going on at once, bro. But this video was absolutely insane. Let me know what you guys thought of this video down in the comments below. Did you like it? Did you hate it? Did you like some of it? Did you hate some of it? Let me know what you guys are feeling. I'm interested to hear what you guys have to say. Like I said at the beginning, if you guys have any suggestions of videos you would like to see me do, make sure you leave those down in the comments below. Thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to spank the like and subscribe button, ring the bell, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.